So how are you at the moment? I guess sort of slightly disappointing end to the domestic campaign. Are you able to just kind of completely shut that out and focus on different things now?
Yeah, I think, we got over that probably a couple of weeks ago and just sort of since then focused on the World Cup. And I think, we're lucky that there is so many St Helens and girls in the Northwest, Wigan included, that we've been able to just continue training now and fulfil that sort of gap that we had from St Helens from missing out in the final, and filled it with England training. So yeah, it's been probably beneficial for us in a sense of going into a World Cup and give us a bit of time to rest and carry on training. Craig mentioned
the part-time element, and it's kind of like a ready-made excuse, not that you'll use it when you're up against Australia. How is that for the whole squad, but specifically for you? How do you manage that?
I think it's really difficult. It's like it's basically like having 2 full-time jobs. There's not enough hours in the day to sort of do everything you want to do and do it to the best of your ability. So things do get pushed to one side. I think certainly for the next sort of 4 weeks, everything else is on hold in my life and probably for every other girl who's playing. So yeah, it's just sort of rugby and work, the things that you have to do. So yeah, it's a massive challenge, but hopefully it won't be forever. And I think hopefully this will be the last World Cup where women are actually working as well as trying to be a full-time international athlete. So yeah, it's tough, but hopefully it won't be for much longer.
I was going to ask the specifics of what your day actually looks like, because combining work and playing is so tough.
It is, and it's so full on, and it's not just the training element. You've got to think about your nutrition, how much sleep you get in, everything. It's really hard to sort of, it's such a balancing act, and I think it means that I'm getting up early in the morning and training really late at night, where probably the real unsociable hours when you wouldn't want to be training. But I think that's that's what you've got to do. I'm lucky enough to have been part of other World Cups where I've been in the same position and somewhat sort of used to it now, and used to sort of doing that. Hopefully going forward it won't be the girls coming through into rugby league, it won't be something that they have to put with at the same time.
You mentioned it's going to be like a record crowd for the first game as well. Do you take great heart from that? Because particularly with what's happened with there seems to be that wave of enthusiasm from the Lionesses that's spread into the Women's Super League season in football. Yeah,
definitely. I think watching the Lionesses and what they achieved was massively inspirational for I think the women being part of the England team, and seeing what they've achieved and how much the country did get behind them is just so exciting for us as players. So hopefully we can generate that sort of same support and get to the same point and achieve similar things which they did. So I think seeing that has been massively inspirational for myself and the other players.
Do you believe that we are closer now to sort of point where you can look at having full-time contracts and things for some players?
Yeah, I'd like to hope so. I think this World Cup, to be honest, is probably a massive part of that, and I think that if we can win the World Cup, I think then asking women to go back to the full-time jobs I think would be a difficult ask. So I think we've got a massive part to play in that, and definitely getting some success in this World Cup will hopefully push that to happen sooner than it's probably planned.
It's a lot of pressure to put on yourself, I guess, when you look at it that way.
I guess it is, but I think there's pressure anyway. It's a World Cup, it's a home World Cup, and there's a lot of pressure, and I think that we have known that since sort of training for this a couple of years ago, that there would be a lot of pressure on us, but I think hopefully that we'll thrive off that, and it will push us to get one step further than we have in previous World Cups.
Do you think that kind of desire might give you the edge on the because obviously Australia on paper being full time, they're kind of big favourites, but you've kind of got that hunger that maybe they don't have in that respect?
Yeah, definitely. I think that gives us a bit of an advantage and an edge, and I think it being a home World Cup as well gives us an advantage. I think when they come over in 2013, I think obviously that was a while ago now, but the players seem to really struggle with that travel and then performing on the pitch to probably the levels that they're used to. So hopefully that'll it's a little advantage in our favour. But I think you can't fault any of the England girls' desire and commitment and their want to win the World Cup.
Do you know any of the players from Australia, New Zealand, or anything like that? Any?
I won't say they're friends, no, but I'm aware of some of the players, and obviously their league's quite highly there's a lot of exposure over there, so you do get to know the familiar faces and names. But it'll be interesting coming up against them, and something that I'm massively looking forward to. That's I think what we thrive off, playing against the potential best in the world. That's where you want to get to in your career, and the games that you most look forward to. So I think it's really exciting and looking forward to it.
Do you think that there's a possibility of maybe getting one of those or two of those full-time players from Australia over here to the Women's Super League to try and elevate our league over here?
To be honest, I'm not sure. I think there's probably more potential of our players going and being taken and playing over there. I think that's probably a more exciting proposition at the minute as it stands. I'm not sure the Australia players would probably want to come over here and play in our league, but if they did, then that'd obviously only give us a boost and probably help our league. But I think at the minute, the way our league is going, it's really competitive, and each year on year it's building, and I think that's only going to help our England team going into this World Cup. The competitiveness of the domestic league has definitely put us in a good position for the next couple of weeks.
Have you ever had any offers from Australia or anything like that that you could reveal potentially?
I think personally no. But I know there is a lot of talk around younger players. There's we're fortunate to have a lot of talented younger players coming through at the minute, and I think there is quite a few eyes on them, and maybe wanting them to go over. So that'll obviously be total personal preference to them girls. But I can see no reason why they wouldn't. I think our girls are can compete at that level and are just as good as the NRL players. So, I wouldn't be surprised if some of them did get asked to go over there.
I mean, the Super League, Women's Super League's on the rise, isn't it? And bigger stadiums, bigger attendances.
Yeah.
What can the sport do next to elevate the game even further?
I think, just keep pushing with the momentum that it's got at the minute. It is year on year, it's getting better. We get more opportunities, the game grows, the games get competitive and more so. And, we're playing on bigger stages. Next year, we're going to be playing at Wembley, whoever gets that final in Challenge Cup. And that's, massively exciting. I think that momentum needs to continue. And I do think, it needs to come soon that women have started to play, to be paid to play. And I think, we need to move away from the fact that it's just sort of an extra thing that you do as well as your job. It's really difficult to probably be the best player you can be whilst also working full time. So I think if we want to create the best players in the world, then that's probably something that needs to happen.
You mentioned before about that sort of home advantage and the fans and stuff like that, but what about that on a more personal level? Friends, family, kids at school, all those sorts of things as well. How will that make you feel?
Personally, for me, I think it's massive. I think it's just so exciting that I will have so many family and friends here watching, more so than probably ever have for an England game. The school that I work at, I've already sort of booked trips to bring a lot of kids down and watch the games at Headingley. So that's really exciting. I think it's exciting for the kids that they can watch people that they're around on such a big stage like that. So it's going to be brilliant, and I think just the fact that it's going to be such a big crowd in comparison to probably what we're used to walking out against and sort of in that environment. So I think that's definitely going to give all the girls a boost.
Have you been getting any special messages of encouragement from the kids?
Yeah, you know what, in the recent years the kids have just followed it so much more. I think just the awareness and sort of the visibility around women's rugby league now, they can see what's going on and they can follow it quite closely. I get a lot of sort of on a Friday, good luck miss for the game at the weekend, and then on a Monday, great win. They are sort of really following it. So I do get a lot of words of encouragement, or if I've done something wrong they also give me a bit of stick. So it works both ways, I guess.
I'm just looking at the group, of the World Cup. What do you make of the competition in there? We've got Brazil and Canada, who we don't really know much about those two teams. But PNG, you've played them, I believe it was before the pandemic, a couple of times. What do you make of the competition in that group?
I think, it's interesting for us as players because we've not come up against Brazil, and Canada played in the last World Cup, but we didn't actually play against them. And obviously with that World Cup, it's 5 years ago. The cycle of players is probably a lot different in comparison. I'd say Canada are pretty much unknown to us as well. But I think that's, it's brilliant for the game. It's exciting for us as players to come up against competition that we've not played before. And it should make some really interesting games, hopefully.
Some chat before about watching the Canada and Brazil teams on clips on YouTube or on Facebook and stuff like that? Do you do that as players, or do you watch them?
I would say I, as a player, am very much focused on, you know, our games, and especially like the domestic league and stuff. That's the focus. But I know, like, now building into World Cup, we're going to be showing clips of people that we're coming up to against. The coaches, I guess, would be stupid not to sort of show us their potential, their weaknesses, their strengths. You know, we need to be fully prepared in that sense to come up against these teams. So yeah, I know that we're training sort of, you know, every opportunity that we get now, we probably will be showing clips of these teams that we're coming up against.
Tara Stanley was voted the Woman of Steel this season. Were you perhaps a bit disappointed that the announcement was just made on like a Tuesday afternoon, and she was given the trophy at the Old Trafford at the grand final, but perhaps the manner of the announcement compared to the last few years?
Yeah, I think potentially probably that could do with a bit of work on maybe and how that is announced, but I think for Tara, you know, she was obviously what an honour to be given that award, and I'm not sure she would have been too bothered in receiving the award. And you know, it was a great night at Old Trafford on Saturday. I was there, and they did make a real fuss of her, so hopefully, you know, she did feel special enough in receiving that.